Legal Tech Network is an ABA tech show. I'm Dennis Kennedy.
I'm Irene Mo.
I'm Steve Best.
And I'm Justin Evans.
And this is Tech Show Today. We're back on Tech Show Today with Irene, Steve, my co-host, and Justin, RJ. And we're going to get the law student and recent law school graduate perspective on technology in the law and in legal education and their unique perspective on the future. And we'll talk about how they're tech show attendees and have been to a number of them. Steve?
So Jay, I understand you are a second year law student.
I am.
And Irene, you are a recent graduate.
Yes.
So what drew each of you to want to come to Tech Show this year?
I wanted to see some of the things that Dan was talking about put into practice. Dan Lena.
Okay.
Some of the things that he was teaching in our litigation class. So I wanted to come and see some of the tools being implemented and attend some of the seminars where they're explaining some of the underlying technology.
Is this your first tech show? Or
My second.
Yeah, that's great. As a 2L.
Yes.
You came last year?
I did.
Okay. And how about you, Irene?
So this is my third tech show, and I've been coming since I was also a 2L, and I came because I was presenting yesterday on mentoring women and people of color in legal tech, but also to see some of the things in a litigation track, because that's where I want to go after my fellowship at the ABA Center for Innovation.
So you guys are both part of Michigan State's legal R&D program, which is really fascinating and innovative, and it's one of a number, but I would say a handful of law schools are doing something similar. So you talked about Dan Lena, Dan Katz, who's now at Chicago Kent, was involved in it. Can you tell us a little bit about legal R&D?
Sure. Legal R&D is the Center for Legal Services Innovation at Michigan State, and we launched that about 2 years ago in July 2015, and the way it started was just trying to figure out a curriculum that would teach law students to be 21st century attorneys. And what that means is learning everything from process improvement, project management, getting business, and also just how to apply technology into the legal practice. But also understanding that you need to understand people and processes first before you can just throw technology into something and expect it to solve a problem.
And then was legal R&D one of the things that attracted you to Michigan State, or is this something you found there?
It was legal R&D and also the intellectual property program. Both brought me to Michigan State. I thought it would be great. My overall goal has been to increase access to medicine. So using technology to do that is very appealing for me. So the program really stood out for me when deciding law schools.
So 2 years ago, I had the privilege of being the chair of ABA Tech Show, and one of the things that we did in my year was that we tried to create what was called the Law School Roundtable and invite deans and invite professors from law school to come in and talk about, is legal technology part of the curriculum, and if it's not in law school, if it's not, how do we make it part of the curriculum? So I want to maybe ask both of you, since you've kind of gone to the same law school, and you really have the perspective of Michigan State, but tell us a little bit about curriculum, the offerings of curriculum for legal technology. Is Michigan State offering you legal technology curriculum, and if so, to explain to our viewers what that is?
They are. So I'm actually in Dan Lena's litigation class, where we're learning about taking some of the tools to help streamline some of the litigation matters. So you're not only learning about contracts in class, but you're learning about tools that can actually help you in practice. So I think it's
like to help you draft a contract.
Yes.
How about as a recent graduate? I mean, did you have a curriculum in law school, and then do you foresee the ability to apply it outside hopefully in your first job?
Definitely. Yeah. So legal R&D has a very robust curriculum of classes, including the litigation class. We have quantitative analysis for lawyers. We had artificial intelligence in law, which is one of the first ones that came up. But we also had practical things like design thinking, and also a privacy and data security class. But along with the legal R&D curriculum, there's also a litigation certificate program at Michigan State that talked about technology in the courtroom. So I think when we talk about technology in legal education, it doesn't always have to be legal tech, the alternative legal careers. There's a lot of things that you can apply to traditional legal jobs that need technology for students to be able to understand what's going on in the real world.
So it's when you started to look at processes and how things were done from the perspective of a student, was it really surprising to you that it seemed, I know things seem to be really inefficient, but were you finding a lot of things that you could improve kind of really quickly in some of the things in the practical projects you did?
I think so. I think there's certain things in Microsoft Word that you can streamline, that you don't have to do manually every time. I'm actually working on a project with cease and desist letters that normally takes lawyers 2 weeks, and we're finding a way to do it in 20 to 30 minutes using technology. So I think that there's a number of places where technology can be implemented.
Did you find the same thing? I know you've done a variety of projects, and we'll talk about what you're doing at the Center for Innovation, but were you also able to do practical projects? Were you able to streamline processes, or did you do, I know sometimes these types of programs, Michigan State and elsewhere, get involved in access to justice things. Were you able to do some of that as well?
Yeah, so the first project I did was a Kaizen project at a local court where we looked at how landlord-tenant was functioning, and it surprised me how much pre-planning we had to do before the actual project, how much research we did before we even got to the court and before we even started on the project. And when you first start doing this kind of stuff, you see problems and you go, oh, that's easy, you can fix it there. But we had Ken Grady as our lean sensei, and he sort of did a little, slap on the wrist, like, not yet, we're not fully through the process, we don't fully understand everything that's going on yet. So that was surprising to me when I was doing these practical projects, about how easy it is to think that you already know what the solution is, but you have to understand everyone involved and why things the way they are before you can start suggesting things to fix the problem.
That's kind of cool. Steve, I know you're a process guy. Can you imagine learning how to do process stuff while you were in law school?
I can't. I went to law school 25, 30 years ago, and back then I can't imagine.
So when you were like 2, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Excellent comment. But let me ask you guys. We've talked a little bit about your individual experiences, but Jay, you're currently in law school. What's the buzz among the student body itself as it relates to the application of technology to the practice of law? Do you find that the current law students are interested in the ability of bringing law and technology together, or do you find that there's still just a separation of, I need a law school education and technology, whatever that is will come later?
I think that there is, people want it.
Uh-huh.
We host a number of events through Legal R&D. We pack out the room. People want to learn about blockchain, AI, various topics, and we're starting to pull some of the faculty in who are going to start talking about smart contracts in their contracts class. So I think that the environment is yearning for the conversation around technology.
So the whole student body really is, there's different levels of buzz, but there's definitely a foundational buzz going on.
Yes.
You have to have some understanding of technology when you walk out of this building.
Yes.
And how about as a recent grad?
So I was going to say I have a great anecdote for that. My roommate and best friend from undergrad, we went to the same law school, and she was in the litigation certificate program that I was in as well. And she would hear me talk about legal tech and everything that I'm doing, all the new technologies out there all the time. And she would listen because she was my best friend and she had to, but she mostly just ignored it. But then she got a job after law school, and her firm used process maps and Clio and all these technology companies that she heard of from me, but never actually invested in. And when she was starting her job, she was like, I'm a little overwhelmed because not only am I doing substantive work, but I'm now also learning these technologies that you talked about all the time, and I wish I would have taken you more seriously in law school, because then I would have, done that along the way, and it would have been less of a learning curve once I got into my new job. So that's a great example of, someone who thought they were going into a traditional job, didn't need to learn all this stuff, but now, is sort of doing it on the fly. So.
And I think that in the law firms, the law departments where I was at, that this notion of the practice-ready law school graduate is something people talk about, but they don't know exactly what it means. But it is interesting when you get a taste of that in law school, that you come in so much better prepared to do things, because it is going to be different and you're doing stuff practically every day.
Right.
So when you graduated, you got the chance to be a fellow in the ABA's Center for Innovation,
Yep.
which is a new thing, very cool. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with them.
Sure. So my project at the Center for Innovation is focused on helping low-income and marginalized individuals understand their privacy and data security risks. And it was a free-flowing project proposal idea, and what I did from the onset was do research, then synthesis and analysis, and then prototyping. And that's sort of like the design loop that I've been working in. And I spent a couple of months doing research, figuring out what's currently there, and now I'm starting to use that research to actually implement some of the solutions that I thought would be good to help in the process.
And that will actually go live to help actual people?
Yes. So I had a little bit of a crisis a couple months ago, because after doing my research, I found that current resources weren't adequate to help people understand their privacy and data security risks. So I made a list of all my criticisms, and I was like, okay, great, I'm going to build a better product. I'm going to, include all these people, have pictures, make it easier to understand. And because I did all this research and because I talked to all these people, I was like, this is what the current market needs. So I was informed. And then another organization did it. And it was great because there's this great product out there now, but I had 6 months left of my fellowship and I didn't know what to do. So I sort of went back to design and process improvement thinking, and I thought, people and processes. We have this product now, but is it really getting to the people, and is it really still improving the current process? And I talked to the project manager of this product, and they wanted to reach low-income and marginalized individuals, but they didn't have a distribution plan. So for the rest of my fellowship, I am helping them connect with current places that low-income and marginalized individuals already go for legal services and provide that as an additional tool. So places like Michigan Legal Help, Illinois Legal Aid Online, and I recently just got a contact for the Florida Justice Technology Center. So that's 3 states. I have 47 to go, so if anyone has contacts, let me know.
So, Jay, in your 3rd year, are you going to take more legal R&D classes, or like what's your plan on that? Or are they offering more each year?
I think that I have to take a class with Grady. She's talked to me so much about Grady, so I have to at least take 1 or 2 courses with them. So maybe delivering legal services, because I think that we're moving to being more client-centric, and I want to understand what that means. And if he offers artificial intelligence, I also want to take that. So those are the 2 that I'm thinking about taking before I graduate.
All right, and Jay, so you got a year and a half left. You're about midway through law school now.
I am.
What are your thoughts about, what do you want to do after law school, and coupled with that is, how do you see technology playing into whatever your plans are?
Okay, so I would love to work in-house for a pharmaceutical company, and I would love to streamline some of their processes for regulatory matters. The current way that a lot of things are done takes too long, and I want to help get drugs in front of the FDA faster, so that we can get through the hurdle of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and get it to the people who actually need it.
And how do you see technology playing a role in that?
So last year I worked at a pharmaceutical company, and we implemented contract systems, for example, to save lawyers time. So when you have that streamlined, you save a couple of days so they can start working on things that are important to the company. You can do process improvement for current systems that are in place. You can do design thinking as far as certain issues that come that are brought to the legal team. You have compliance-related things. So I think that there's a number of avenues in which technology can help the legal department be more efficient and help the company with its overall goal.
Excellent. And I know, Irene, you're currently looking for your first job out of law school. So what are you looking for? And then again, how would you see technology playing a role in that?
So I'm currently at the ABA Center for Innovation as a fellow. That is my first job. So I'm looking for my next thing, which is I want to be a litigation associate somewhere. And I think that there's a lot of value in me already understanding a lot of the technology that's out there, so that's not as much of a learning curve. I know a lot of firms place a lot of value in training and making sure that their associates are ready. So I think that would just cut the learning curve, and it's good to be able to understand a lot of the current technology in play, especially in the privacy and data security field, because I understand the risks that are associated when companies or law firms take on certain technology in their practice.
So, I mean, to me, an interesting thing I was thinking as you were saying that is in the near future, like 6 months, who knows, but it seems like it could be possible that doing the type of fellowship or the technology projects could become as important in the hiring process for a firm or a law department as the traditional judicial clerkship, because you're going to be much less theoretical. You're going to be very practical, and you're going to have portfolio. The stuff you've got already done is pretty amazing.
Right.
So I think we have to wrap up, but this has been fun.
This has been excellent.
We'll just do a little advertisement for the two of you. If people want to hire you, I think they'd be making a very wise decision. But it's great
I
having
agree.
you and getting your perspective. And I'm hoping, in your case, I'm hoping to get the chance to come up to Michigan State again and maybe talk to your classes. So hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Keep the
And
buzz
this is-
going in law school.
And this has been Tech Show today for Tech Show 2018. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
It's
Excellent.
fun.
Thank you
Yay,
very
thanks,
much for
guys.
participating in this.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.